Most of my life, I get really far in like learning, gaining wisdom, et cetera, et cetera. And then when it comes time to act on it or share it, there's always a voice or something that stopped me from keeping going.
I'm seeing someone on the path, and then this, like, almost like a sliding door that goes up to down, gets in front of you and then stops.
I think that there's also this piece of like getting really close and then just like, and no, I guess I want to know like the shape of how I am in my way.
Fear of things not working out. And so, kind of this way that the word like has kind of self-sabotage is coming up. So it feels safer to not dream, to not have the vision.
If I'm direct about what I want to myself, then it immediately dissolves into nothing.
There's a real anger that feels like it's coming up. Almost feels like in this other life, like you were ahead of your time and like you saw things clearer than everyone else.
That's exactly what's happening. But is that like always going to be tied to my purpose?
A big thing it feels like for your soul across all lives is authenticity. As you take up space and show your authenticity and truth, it's like other people will be drawn to you.
Authenticity has definitely always been something that is like a guiding force of sorts.
Part of this life is like to understand that there are other people like you, that you have allies on this mission, that other people will get you, that you're not alone. Hi, I'm Sam Franklin, intuitive, healer, and psychotherapist. In this podcast, you'll hear real life sessions where I open the Akashic Records, connect with angels, offer energy healing, and guide my guests through deep soul transformation. Each session begins by opening the Akashic Records, or the energetic library of the soul, to receive clarity and guidance. Next, I set sacred intentions and invite loving support from the angels, spirit guides, ancestors, and all other spirits who are here for the highest good and healing. Throughout these sessions, I explore soul purpose, soul connections, and soul gifts. I also examine the deeper roots of challenges, including past life lessons and how they shape the present, to help my guests reconnect with their truth and step into the life they're meant for. Whether you're here out of curiosity or on your own healing journey, I invite you to listen with an open heart. You might just hear something your soul's been waiting for. Let's dive in. All right, so welcome. We'll jump into the session with just getting grounded, opening up your records, setting intentions. So you can get cozy. You can close your eyes if you'd like to. Just take some deep breaths. Start to feel into your body. And as you're doing that, you can open up your records. I'm going to call in any angels, spirit guides, loved ones, ancestors, any spirits that want to come in for your highest good, for the collective's highest good, for your healing, any guidance, any wisdom and love that needs to be shared, we'll welcome in. All right. Thank you. We'll jump in now. So where do you want to start?
Um, so like most of my life, I seem to get really far in like learning, gaining wisdom, et cetera, et cetera. And then when it comes time to act on it or share it or like go to the next level of something, like there's always like I always feel this like, are you sure you want to do that? Is that what you want to do?
Mm-hmm.
Maybe you should, I don't know, like, is this,
Mm-hmm.
um, or like being perceived by other people in a more public way. And um, like I've done storytelling, I've done stand-up comedy, but there's always something to, um, there's always a voice or something that stopped me from like keeping going, whether it's like whether I end up not having the energy for it, or like I talk myself out of it. And so I'm wondering now, as I'm 47, I'm just like, what is the deal with that?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, like it sounds like it's like blocks to being visible and like taking action steps, putting yourself out there, that kind of thing. Or is it a little bit
Hmm.
different than that?
Um, I I think that there's also this piece of like getting really close and then just like, and no.
Mm.
Um, and I in so many readings or so many things it's always like you're in your own way, like get out of your own way. And I guess want to know like the shape of how I am in my way because I don't under like now I'm like, all right, come on, let's like do this. And then there's still part of me that is resistant. So I'm wondering what that is. Is that a present life thing? Is it a past life thing? Or is it, well, am I trying to keep myself like safe in a bigger way, I guess?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, let me first kind of explore what it's about, and then we can also kind of explore origins and then how to kind of work through it. So let me just take a moment to just kind of be quiet while I just channel real quick, and then the messages will start to flow. But let's see here. I'm just gonna walk you through what's coming in as it's coming in. So I'm seeing someone on the path, and then this like almost like a sliding door that goes up to down comes in and just like, you know, gets in front of you and then stops. So I'm going to see like what that door is that's stopping you.
Mhm.
And it almost feels like it's like a feeling of inevitable, like that the door is just going to be there. I'm going to see if it always has to come down because it feels like it's like almost like this like a video game type of thing, but like there's a path and then there's these doors that are in different points along the path and they're either going to go down or they're not. It's like you have to kind of get through it in time. And so
Mhm.
this feels like life events, but it also feels like skill or ability. So I'm going to see like what would keep the doors open versus them coming down at these different points in the path.
Mhm.
Well, one is like not being able to see them, almost like being so kind of narrowly focused on things that like you're not even kind of looking up to see like, oh, there's like this door thing that could come slamming down. So it almost like it comes down and then you're just like kind of run into it. So
Mhm.
kind of this idea of like when you stay so narrowly or hyper focused on like an activity, an event, something in your life, um, that kind of makes it harder to take a step back and see the barriers that might be foreseeable even. Are you someone that tends to be like hyper focused on things at all
Um,
or narrowly focused?
like I honestly try to like now try to like not be like it's very like I if it's like I get too into something, I'm like, hey, you gotta step back because you're gonna get too into it and then not be able to see. But that it's funny because I wonder if when you're saying hyper focus, if it's not something, if it's not a conscious thing that I'm hyper focused on, but like an unsubconscious thing that I'm focused on that um makes the doors not seeable or the doors because that's it's interesting because it's like I'm seeing these like oh I always think about like timing being timing or like what are the windows and but I at this moment I don't feel exceptionally hyper focused on anything.
Mm.
I'm wrapping up some stuff, but I've been holding it all very loosely or trying to, but it's and I almost feel like that's a defense mechanism, but I can't like I don't yeah, this is the part where I'm just like, what is my deal? It's like, do I need to like let go and let go and let go and let go in a way that I'm not thinking about? And I think I'm letting go, but I'm actually um not, I guess.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, something was coming through as you're talking of like, again, like you're talking about timing. And so this idea of like, if we are so focused on how we want something to go or how we think it should go or how we're afraid it's going to go even though we don't want it to go that way, like all that stuff, then that's kind of we start to lose the bigger picture and see the door because it's like the door will walk right through it if it's the right time, but also if we're open to the possibilities and if we're not too hyper focused. Let me just kind of hone in on this message a little bit clearer of like what would help you
Hmm.
walk through these. kind of doors without them blocking you. One, it feels like sometimes maybe the vision feels unclear. Like it's always, if it's like always morphing. Kind of what I'm hearing from
Hmm.
your angels and guides of like, we want to help you walk through these doors, but sometimes it's like you have a vision and then it changes, and then we're trying to like kind of keep up or like get you to where you want to go, but there maybe isn't a clarity sometimes. And so then they're struggling to figure out, what do we bring in front of you? What doors do we help you walk through? Because um maybe it's not as clear. I don't know how you do with kind of creating like a long-term vision for yourself.
Um, I um I have had several long-term visions for myself, but um I get really intimidated by having long-term
Mm-hmm.
visions by myself because I it's hard for me, how do I say this? I struggle with um like sticking with it, thinking that it's real, or I don't know what the first steps are to keep something small. Like I can't, like it's whenever I'm in the little pieces and I don't think about the big picture, it's easier for me to move towards something. But if I think about the big picture, it's harder for me to move towards something because I don't know if the things I'm doing in the present are the right things. And I worry too much about making the wrong choice at the wrong time or anything like that. Um, yeah, I struggle if I um, like if I see the future, I see something, I struggle with, and then I don't want to mess it up. And so then I freeze. And so I don't know how to um maintain, like I don't know how to keep on the path because I'm just like, and whatever, like that won't mean anything. Or it's like I try not to get too attached to outcomes because Um, if I like really want something and I don't get it, I get really devastated. But if I only kind of want it or whatever, and I can back into it and it's like a surprise, then I am more accepting of it.
Mm-hmm.
Or I can just be like, oh yeah, just by being myself, I made this happen instead of like being very direct about what I want.
Mm-hmm.
And then it's like if I'm direct about what I want to myself, then it immediately dissolves into nothing. Or I don't know how to stay on those paths or claim them in front of other people, I guess, is another thing.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, so there's kind of a few things that were coming up. One is like, this is kind of what they're talking about with narrow focus of just focusing on just the small steps. Then that's when you're kind of on different paths, and then you can't see the long-term vision and you can't see the door that's maybe going to slam in front of you. So kind of a balance between long-term and short-term. The other thing that was coming through was fear of things not working out. And so kind of this way that the word like has kind of self-sabotage is coming up of like, I'm so afraid, like, what if I want something and I put hope into it and I dream and then it doesn't happen. So it feels safer to not dream, to not have the vision, because I don't know if I'm going to stay on the course. I don't know if it's going to work out. So it feels safer to just not set goals or visions and just keep going. Cause then, like you said, like then I just walk into things and it's like, oh, that was great. And I didn't have any expectations. Does that make
Hmm.
sense? Does that resonate?
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Yeah. Having expectations is really um unhelpful in my mind.
Mm-hmm.
Like the Heisenberg uncertainty principle. It just is like once I know something, then it like disappears, or like once I think something, then it disappears. Or
Mm-hmm.
um, I have really struggled with so often being like the odd person out for just like the way that I think or something like that. I'm always like in groups where I'm the odd person out, and so like I try to package myself or interpret myself in order to be digestible or not be as isolated. I'm moving away from that, but um it it's hard to um I don't know, not I'm like definitely stepping into like how different I am because I moved to like this to be near my family. I moved toward into this like extremely like conservative, very like everybody almost looks the same. Every like and it's this there's a lot of weight in tradition here.
Mhm.
And like I just am like, can we just dismantle all these constructs, please? Because this is ridiculous. Um, and it like definitely has helped me be more confident and assertive and like who I am and being able to declare that. But there is still um a lot of shame around just like being myself sometimes. Way less than ever before actually in my life, but it's also still something that like I don't know, it's there.
Mhm. Yeah. And that's that one that could be really painful, like, and also really hard to keep, like having to feel like you're bumping up against all of these systems and people and constructs that says you need to be different. Um, and one thing that your guides are bringing in previously that I forgot to mention was like, even if you're focusing on small steps, it's about how it feels. Like, so when you're being true to who you are and your path and what aligns with your soul, there's a certain feeling to it. And like
Hmm.
you even don't even always need like that long-term vision constantly in your mind if that's what you're aligning with. But as you start to feel like you're contorting yourself or bending to fit in or kind of stepping
Hmm.
outside of it, that's when we start to have doors closed on us because we're not really in alignment with our path. And then we're kind of like swimming upstream, right? It's
Hmm.
just like it's just so much harder. The energy depletion happens when we're aligned with our soul, things flow, we're going with the current.
Hmm.
But going with the current in our own soul alignment might mean actually going against the current of society, right? And that's
Hmm.
like where it's challenging.
Hmm. Yeah. Um, I have kind of arrived at this philosophy last year of 0 calorie relationships where if I at any point like feel like I have to like bend or contort to like have you around, then I don't want to have you around. Because it's like I want these things to be 0 calories in that sense of just like if it's not easy to bring something up or if it's not easy to like talk something out, then it's like have moved away from those kind of relationships.
Mm-hmm. And that what I'm hearing is that will free up a lot more energy to reach your goals and to go where you want to. So you're not so depleted. So like when you reach something where you want to do, you don't have energy. I'm going
Hmm.
to tap into some of these things that we've talked about to see how they might be connected to this life stuff and other lives and see
Hmm.
where your angels and guides want to focus on first. They want to focus on this life first. And there's just this feeling of like, how do I describe it? I'm getting so many messages from so many places of what to do and where to go. Was that true?
Exactly. Yeah. No, for real. I've had like 20 ideas in the past 3 weeks, and like I'm just like I don't even know where to begin or end or anything.
Yeah, so it feels really discombobulated. It's kind of like
Hmm.
and disorganized. And that feels like that's an internal thing, but there's also like, and this is feel where it just adds to like what the word is that chaos is like, then there's a lot of stuff coming in from outside too. So it's like, well, now I gotta like, and especially when we focus on your childhood, now I gotta filter out what everyone else is telling me I should do. And but then I also have all these things going on what I should do. And then there feels like a paralyzed kind of feeling of like, well, now I don't
Hmm.
really know what to do. Is that true?
Yeah.
Yeah. Let me see like how you can kind of work with that so that it doesn't feel paralyzing. I'm seeing like a brain dump of like what are all my ideas, what are all the things that are like hanging out in my brain, because when they
Mm-hmm.
stay in your brain it gets very hard to organize and make sense of it. So writing it
Mm-hmm.
down is a way to kind of start to organize and make sense of it.
Mm-hmm.
um, as you write all the things down that you're interested in or have ideas about, after you do that, go back and then see how it feels. Like take time to like read the thing and then in your body be like, how does that feel? Does that feel exciting? Does that feel like, does that feel like, oh, I don't know, that might be really challenging. Just how does it feel? And that will kind of guide you as maybe the things that you want to focus on first.
Mm-hmm.
And then let me see what the next step would be. And you can even number these or put them with color, like whatever makes sense of like, this makes me feel green, this makes me feel yellow. um does that work?
No, I'm laughing. No, yeah, it probably would work, but then I'd be like, what kind of pens do I want to use? Do I want to use like these markers or like it I think to my detriment, um like I'm a writer and there's a part of like writing where it's like, what are the details? How like the sensory stuff. And so it's like when I've been hypnotized or anything and they're like, okay, you're in this room. And then I'm like, what kind of door is that? Like I go on all of these like wandering paths so I can save it for later. And it's not, and then it detracts from the actual thing I need to be doing in that space. So it's like, yeah, colors sound awesome. But then it would be, I would like get caught in the process of colors,
Mm,
like what colors mean and what they are. Like I would have to go into the history of colors. This is the hyper focus thing where I'm
yeah.
just like, and I'm shutting that down, but
Mm,
it's also paralyzing.
yeah, let me see of like how maybe to best work with that kind of thing that pops up. It feels
But I say,
like one, it's a, just following one excitement thing after another, but it also feels like and that like that just kind of like feels good or feels exciting emotionally. But then there's a way that it also is a protective mechanism, you could say.
mm-hmm. Oh yeah,
Let me
for
just kind of
sure.
tune into that a little bit more and kind of how to work with that. With the feeling comes up when I think about doing something like making a list or moving forward with something. There's like a ugh, like I don't like this is going to be challenging or it's going to require things of me, or I get anxious, or there's just like a gut kind of visceral feeling.
Mm-hmm.
And so then the like, ooh, I can choose a color. What kind of color? Like that feels like a helpful avoidance and a protective way of like I don't have to sit with the
Mm-hmm.
discomfort because this feels better. So there's almost like
Mm-hmm.
a, it's really about kind of moving beyond the discomfort. That's really the biggest block to kind of moving forward is like, this doesn't feel good and I don't know what to do. So I'm going to do something that I know what to do. Like I know what
Mm-hmm.
colors to look at. I can go Google something, I just kind of, that
Mm-hmm.
flows. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So
Yes.
don't do color, like just write the list and don't, if there is a color near me, just use that one and don't go seek out more colors. Is that kind of,
Yeah. Let me see like how to kind of work through the process that comes up, but then also like the visceral feeling that comes up that can stop you. Um, well, I guess they just kind of made me do it, but like take a deep breath. Because it was like I could feel it in my body. It was just so
Mhm.
uncomfortable. And like when that feeling comes up of like, okay, now I want to go on a tangent because this feels uncomfortable, or I feel overwhelmed, or like my brain is filled with stuff, it's like I need to recenter. I need to
Mhm.
take a deep breath. I just need to pause. I don't need to do anything this moment. I just need take a moment and then think of the next thing.
Mhm.
When I'm thinking of how to handle like kind of this list thing with the colors, it's a mixed bag because when I think of okay, well, their suggestion is like come up with a structure. Like I make this list, I have these colors, I've identified that I'm going to use gel pens or crayons or whatever it is, or I'm going to use
Mhm.
numbers. I have the system, so I know what I'm doing, and I don't have to figure it out in the moment. But then there starts the feeling of like, well, now I feel like too rigid in structure. Is that true?
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Um, when I have a structure, I want to rebel against the structure. Also, um, I um don't want to be the kind of person that like absolutely has to have a structure, because then if the structure is there or is not there, then I can't do anything.
Mm-hmm.
So it's like to be reliant on a structure is great for a little bit, but the idea of being consistent and maintaining a structure is terrifying. I don't like it. I don't like having to be beholden to having to do something. If it's like out here, if it's like something that I'm not, that I am come like, it's like if it's something that I arrive at in the moment and then I'm like, oh yeah, like I need to do that. That's but if it's something, as soon as it becomes an expectation, I really struggle.
Mm-hmm.
Is the biggest thing, because then it becomes a demand and I don't like those.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that feels like a connection to a demand from outside,
Mm-hmm.
like an authority figure or something like that. Um, I'm gonna share a message that came through about like just a larger kind of way to work through this, and then I want to go back to like other lives and kind of dig in there quick before we
Okay,
kind of wrap up. But
absolutely.
I know you wanted to explore that. So one thing, and you can kind of make this your own or see how it resonates, would be like creating like these key areas of your life, like 5 key areas of your life, or like a certain amount of things. It would be like 3 to 5. We want to go more than that, of things that you really want to achieve, like quote unquote the long-term vision or just whatever it would be.
Mm-hmm.
Um, and then when you're doing day-to-day stuff, when you're thinking of ideas, kind of being like, do these fit in any of these buckets? Because if they don't, then we're really on a tangent here. And I want to put this off to the side. I'm going to write it down. If it fits in
Mm-hmm.
one of the buckets, be like, cool, this is something to focus on.
Mm-hmm.
Um, and almost like, I mean, they're showing me like literal buckets of like what bucket does it fit in? And notice like how many am I overly focused on one area? Then I want to like maybe like cool it a little bit there and like do something in here. And it's like maybe it's like whatever the first thought that comes in my mind, that's what I'll focus on instead of getting like, okay, I gotta figure this is out. But just
Mm-hmm.
basically, are the things that I'm doing actually aligned with these bigger things? And if not, then I'm getting
Mm-hmm.
lost in the weeds a little bit. So that's a way where it's like a little bit organized, but it's not too structured. And you can kind of
Mm-hmm.
make that your own in terms of how that actually looks like. But we just again want to keep, and it just feels like visuals are helpful, like having
Mm-hmm.
these visuals of these big buckets or whatever it is of your life to be seen. So it's like a okay, yeah, I've been working a lot on that career bucket. What about like relationships? Have I, neglected that?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that is good.
Mhm. Let me see about past life connections here with this. There's a real like anger that feels like it's coming up, um like a push against authority, but like also laws, and very trying to see like what kind of role you might have played, because it doesn't quite feel like an activist. It feels like the town defiant is like just a phrase that is coming up, but like someone that's always pushing against the rules. um Almost feels like in this other life, like you were ahead of your time and like you saw things clearer than everyone else. Everyone was very like focused, like kind of this like, I want to say small minded, but just very structure, routine, traditional things like
Mm-hmm.
that. Maybe similar to how it feels kind of in the town, that you're talking about in your current
Yeah.
life.
Yeah.
Um,
Yeah.
and it's like, but you see so much outside of that, and it's like a real gift, but no one wants to hear it. So it feels like no
Mm-hmm.
one's listening and almost feels like this echo chamber. And that's what starts to feel disorganized in my mind. It's like I'm speaking all these words, but no one's listening. So it's almost like a rebounding off and like going back in my mind. And now it feels really echoey in my head because there's no one to like catch that energy, if you will, and
Mm-hmm.
kind of sit in it with me. Um, so me see like how that has been carried over to this life. a couple ways. One, it's like there was really like I feel like it's so important to continue to be true to myself and push up against these systems. Like I know that that's something that really is needed in the world, but there's
Mm-hmm.
also just a really strong fear and like a wanting to
Mm-hmm.
shrink, um because there's a like I'm going to be rejected, because in that life it felt very rejecting, like it was just you. It was like everyone else was the same and doing all the same things, and it was just you, and there was no one even like that. And in this society it feels like there are other people like you that would understand it, but sometimes it almost feels like that old life is kind of seeping in. It's like, well, I don't want to be the only one.
Mm-hmm.
Is that how that feels?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. That's exactly. Um, yeah, I mean, that's exactly what's happening. And it's like I'm not the only one, but it's like, um, yeah, I mean, like there's really nothing to add to that. It's very right on.
Yeah, so
Uh,
go ahead.
no, is that like my like eternal purpose or something to like it is the fear about just like, oh, I'm gonna be like, is it always gonna be being like, is always the deep fear like of rejection? Like, is that because it feels like that is really big. And I mean, yeah, it's always been there. But is that like always gonna be tied to my purpose? Is that like a tie to my purpose or something? Or
Yeah, let me see if that's like tied to your purpose in this life, tied to like if it's a across all lives.
hmm.
Um, a big thing it feels like for your soul across all lives is authenticity. And so this is where you're going to keep butting up against the things that you experience in this life and the one other life that we tapped into, and maybe other lives. That
Hmm.
there's just a real when I tap into some other lives, there is other lives where you lived in kind of conformity way, where you really blended in, but your soul just kind of died, which I think is true for anyone. Conformity
Yeah.
doesn't work well for our spirit. So you know what that, like, you've tried that out and you're like, that sucks.
Hmm.
Like you'd rather go against the grain and be authentic. That feels really, really important to your soul. Let me see if that's really like a purpose. It just feels like more like there's just a real for your soul authenticity, integrity, and truth, and kind of at any cost, if you will. It just feels like that's so important. So you're gonna bump up against some things.
Right.
Yeah. Let me see like if that is really what this life is about. If there's like any other like real big purpose.
Yeah, what is this life about?
It feels like part of this life is like carrying that over, that authenticity and truth, but a different version than that other life that I originally tapped into, which is like to understand that there are other people like you, that you have allies on this mission, that other people will get you, that you're not alone. That feels like a lesson to be learned deeper in this life, because it feels like, well, I'm such an oddity or an outcast or an other.
Hmm.
And really it's almost like what I'm seeing is like as you take up space and show your authenticity and truth, it's like other people will be drawn to you and be like, oh, me too, like this is so cool, someone else who's like me, and that will be healing for them, but it also will be healing for you. And that feels like a big purpose. Like when I tap into like the being on stage or stuff like that, like
Hmm.
that feels really tied into that, and you can't get that by hiding. So it really is about
Hmm.
stepping into power, which will kind of activate that old wound in this life and the other life of like, I'm going to be persecuted, I'm going to be ostracized, I'm going to be rejected. So it's kind of holding both of like, yeah, maybe by some people that like maybe if they reject me, like, okay, because like we don't really resonate. But if I step into my power and my truth, like I will also attract people that like will really resonate. And then I won't be in an echo chamber by myself.
Hmm. Yeah.
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 So what I
Yeah.
could do real quick before we wrap up, if you're
Yeah.
okay with this, is to cut cords with that part from that old life that feels like it just feels like there's so much energy. Like I have to prove myself like more than is needed in this life. I'm so much more
Mm-hmm.
alone than is actually true. Like there just feels like there's some truths from that life that was true in that life, but isn't here. And I feel like it's like the energy's maybe a little bit too strong for this
Mm.
life. Are you okay if
Yeah.
I like cut some of that?
Yeah. 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 That's good.
Okay.
Mm-hmm.
Let me see like how we can I just kind of have the angels come in and do this and just witness it and describe what is happening. So they're showing like then they're just like ropes or strings, energy cords, like from this past life to this life. And there's a lot there. So I think what's going to happen is like they're just going to play with which ones to cut, strengthen, or weaken. Um,
Mm-hmm.
so the core one of authenticity and truth, that one we want to keep. That feels like
Mm-hmm.
that's the same. And that's kind of the main one that's like the thickest and like goes from like heart space to heart space of that life to this life. And some of the
Mm-hmm.
other ones of like townspeople's issues with you from that life. We're going to cut some of that because that was really that period of time, like really old school, like, I don't know, anywhere from
Mm-hmm.
1600s to 1800s, like a long
Yeah.
time. Yeah, long time ago.
Mm-hmm.
Um, and then we'll see if there's other ones we want to cut. The like the belief of I'm the only one like this. We're gonna cut that.
Mm-hmm.
That feels like a pretty strong one that we need to cut because that is for sure not true in this life.
Mm-hmm.
See if there's other ones. See if there's anything that we want to strengthen. Belief in self. There was such a strong belief in self. Like, I'm not going to back down and I'm not going to hide. Like, I am really going to be visible, even if it's painful. We're just going to kind of strengthen that for this life to kind of overcome some of that fear of visibility or fear of putting yourself out there,
Mm-hmm.
that self empowerment, self confidence, and see if there's any other chords we want to and then they're just like basically the other one's dropping, just kind of dissolving. All the other stuff doesn't feel like it's relevant. It needs to be brought into this life.
Mm-hmm.
So, and just taking a moment to thank that part of your soul, that life, that journey that you lived, and the lessons that you learned. You want to honor that. Thank that kind of part of your soul for trying to protect you in this life, but we don't need as much of the protection anymore in the same way.
Mm-hmm.
Because some of the hiding has also kind of carried over of like, oh, I did it too much in that life, maybe I should hide. So we're gonna thank that for
Mm-hmm.
that idea, but we're good, we don't need that. And
Yeah.
then kind of bringing into this life and just like a focus on your solar plexus, upper abdomen, which is really about self-confidence, self-empowerment, and
Mm-hmm.
just kind of opening that up a little bit more, making that more vibrant yellow, that chakra. They're wanting to tune into your root chakra, just kind of ground that in your truth, and then up
Mm-hmm.
to your throat chakra, your voice, so you can speak that truth. Just kind of amplify those three chakras. Okay. How are you feeling? Anything that came through for you, feeling wise, thoughts, emotions?
Um, it's interesting. I just like I feel like that is the main conflict, like in my life, or like the not,
Mm-hmm.
um, of like, and so much intellectually, it's always like if I don't, if I'm, if I don't do this, then it's like I'm not following through on myself. But the like fear is always, um, very like um it has been just very present. And it's interesting, like as we were saying, you were telling me about that town, I was like, oh, I recreated it again. And then it's like, so it's affirming that like I moved here for bigger reasons than just like reconnecting or being more with my family. And that was good because I've really felt that, but I'm not, I still am trying to figure out how to um, act on it. And I've figured out a few little ways. But yeah, the fear of follow through is always huge, but authenticity is definitely always been something that is like a guiding force of sorts. And so that was really um help that's like really helpful. And more self-confidence. Yeah, that's I have it in fits and starts and then I just dissolve about it again. Um, so so yeah, that was really yeah, it was very like confirming. Like it was the very confirming that was the things that it but it's hard like and I'm sure you could after being with my guy, it's just like she's all over the place. What's her deal? But
You're
it
very loving.
no, I know, and it is I for really like I've been trying to like create a relationship with them, but I there's also this part of me that's like, you don't need any. And it's like a very like yeah, and I'm like now it's like I'm like, okay, you guys, you can please, please, anything, please. And so it's kind of it's like how do I um I mean, they're going to be there no matter what I know, but it's like, how do I accept and be able to see and listen um, without doubting myself or like that I'm imagining what they're saying?
Yeah, because that feels like a carryover from the other life. I don't need anyone else. So really, this
Hmm.
life of kind of bringing in like um, it feels like really just connected to the expectations. When you start to feel like I'm these expectations I'm not going to live up to. Really, are they my desires for myself or the expectations others have put? I feel like I'm going to let my guides down or what? And really come back to this idea that like we're here to grow as a soul. That's what success looks like, is to learn and to
Hmm.
grow. So we're not failing, because most of the time that's what we're doing. We're learning and growing. So that we're
Yeah.
not meeting expectations. So whatever we don't experience in this life or get to, like we'll just carry it over and we'll keep working on another life. So
Yeah.
kind of keep coming back to the idea of like I'm here to grow and learn, and I can do that in so many ways, so that's good. And then also this idea of like I choose myself. That was the affirmation that kept coming through towards the end as you were talking of like I choose
Uh-huh.
myself, I choose my truth, and that just kind of being this kind of guiding light, if you will.
Hmm.
And just continue to call in your guides and welcome them, and almost like just, and if you can't keep connecting to them, just keep building trust, really, of like I want to
Hmm.
listen. If you're not sure if like, did I make that up or did I hear that? That's okay. Just go with it, write it down.
Hmm.
Um, and over time, as you just keep opening that up, I just see more information coming in. So it's just continuing to be like, hey guys, you got anything for me today? Or really don't want to do this alone. So I'd like to be connected. It could just be small phrases like that you just say every once in a while, or versus always sitting in a meditation pose and being like for 20 minutes of like, okay, give me information, like whatever works for you. It's
Hmm.
fine. Mm-hmm. Yeah. Anything else before we close up the records and cut cords?
Hmm. I feel like that's already so much, and like if I would just be being petty after
Yeah. And I'm also, what I'm hearing from my
that.
guides is like, this is a lot to digest. So, take some time after the session to digest it. We don't need to inundate you, is what they're saying, with more information.
I'll be free later if they need it.
Yeah. Yeah. They can always pop in, just you and them.
Right, exactly.
Okay. So I'll just take a moment to close your records. Just looks like a book closing. I'll ask Archangel Michael with his sword to just like lovingly cut energy cords between us, separate our energy out, wrap you in a bubble of healing, light, love, and protection, and give it a color. Let's see what color they want to give it, because they're kind of switching it up here. It's kind of three main colors. The main one is green. So I usually connect these to the heart chakras, or their chakras. So
Hmm.
the green is heart chakra. This really is about connecting to your truth, continuing to stay open, kind of even when the world can be kind of harsh, but just remaining loyal to your truth, and self-love too. Then they had a little bit of blue. So again, that kind of goes to the throat chakra of like speaking your truth, being authentic, letting your voice be heard, because it really resonates with people. What like the words that you say and how you use it. And then red for the root chakra of being grounded in your truth. And if you can stay rooted in your truth, the other stuff will also really flow really well. Mm.
Hmm.
Well, thanks for doing this. This is a lot of
No,
fun to
thank
kind of
you.
tap in
I'm
and see.
excited.
Yeah.
Yeah, thank
Awesome.
you.
Thank you for being here. If this conversation spoke to your soul, go ahead and like it, share it with someone you love, and subscribe to stay connected to more soul-led journeys. Your truth is sacred, your path matters, and you don't have to walk it alone. Until next time, be gentle with yourself.